It started with a bouquet. On a chilly February evening, Marisol returned home from work to find a single, elegantly wrapped package at her door. The note attached read only, "For you, my eternal love." Intrigued and a little flattered, she unwrapped the parcel to reveal an exquisitely arranged bouquet of deep red roses, each petal unnervingly perfect and glistening as if brushed with fresh blood. As the days passed, Marisol's world began to unravel. The roses never wilted. Instead, they spread a subtle crimson stain across her apartment walls, seeping into the wood and plaster with an almost sentient intent. At night, when the city fell silent, she heard a soft rustle, a sound like the whisper of leaves in a storm, and saw shadows moving in the corners of her vision. The roses seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat, each throb echoing an ancient, forgotten rhythm of death. Marisol's dreams were invaded by visions of past lovers who had met gruesome ends. In these nightmares, each victim was surrounded by roses, their eyes wide with terror as their blood mingled with the petals. The scent of the flowers turned acrid, choking her sleep with the stench of decay. In the waking hours, she discovered scratches on her arms that resembled the bite marks of thorny stems, and sometimes a single petal would be found clutched in her trembling hand, a macabre memento of an unseen force claiming its due. Desperate, Marisol sought the help of a local historian who specialized in ancient curses and folklore. His voice quivered as he explained that the bouquet was not a mere gift, but a vessel of vengeful passion. The roses had been plucked from a cursed garden where unrequited love had turned fatal centuries ago. Each bloom carried the residual energy of those who had been betrayed, their anguish now twisted into a silent, malevolent force. One stormy Valentine's night, Marisol attempted to destroy the bouquet. As she set the roses ablaze, the flames danced with an eerie, unnatural blue light. The fire seemed to feed on the suffering of the long dead, and with a final blood-curdling scream that seemed to come from everywhere at once, the roses combusted into a fine, red ash that filled the room. Yet even as the physical threat diminished, Marisol could never escape the feeling that she was still marked, haunted by the whisper of leaves, the rustle of petals, and the echo of eternal cursed love. Some loves are doomed to remain unfulfilled. In the isolated town of Valentine, Valentine's Day was marked not by roses and chocolates, but by a chilling annual ritual. Decades ago, a young bride named Eliza had vanished on the eve of her wedding, her disappearance cloaked in mystery and sorrow. Legends whispered that her spirit roamed the town, seeking retribution for a love betrayed. On the night of February 14th, the streets grew unnaturally quiet as a dense, cold fog rolled in. Couples found themselves separated by an inexplicable force, and those who dared to venture into the abandoned church on the hill reported hearing the soft strains of a forlorn lullaby echoing through the corridors. The church, long since abandoned and overtaken by ivy and decay, was said to be the resting place of Eliza's broken heart. As midnight approached, a figure emerged from the mist, a woman in a tattered bridal gown, her once beautiful face now a mask of grotesque agony. Her eyes glowed with an unnatural luminescence, and her long, unkempt hair cascaded around her like dark tendrils. She moved with a spectral grace, her presence both mesmerizing and horrifying. Witnesses described her as a tragic vision of love and loss, her every step leaving a trail of frost and a faint metallic scent of blood. The bride's spectral journey was marked by violent encounters. Couples who dared whisper sweet nothings found themselves inexplicably separated, each meeting a grisly fate. Limbs contorted into unnatural angles, faces twisted in silent screams. The once romantic symbols of love, heart-shaped lockets, handwritten notes, became cursed relics, items that seemed to weep dark, viscous fluid when touched. It was as if Eliza's wrath had imbued the very air with despair, turning every symbol of affection into a conduit for horror. Local lore suggested that only by performing a long-forgotten rite could one appease the vengeful spirit. But the ritual required a sacrifice steeped in true love, a sacrifice that, once made, could never be undone. In a final desperate attempt to end the terror, a young couple sought to perform the rite. Under the ghostly glow of a blood moon, they recited incantations, their voices trembling with fear and hope. Yet as the final words left their lips, a piercing cry split the silence. The bride appeared before them, her eyes ablaze with wrath, and with a swift, merciless movement, ended their lives. Their blood joined the spectral mist, and the legend of the Valentine's bride grew ever darker. Even today, on every Valentine's Day, Raventon's streets remain empty after dusk, and whispers remind the living that some loves are forever cursed, doomed to be reawakened in the face of betrayal and sorrow. Sometimes, the mirror shows more than just your face. In the quiet town of Hollow Creek, nestled between shadowed forests and forgotten roads, sat an old antique mirror, rumored to be a relic from an era of occult experiments. It was said that the mirror didn't merely reflect the surface, it revealed the hidden, twisted truths of one's soul. For Jonathan and Lena, a young couple bound by a passion that defied the mundane, this mirror became the centerpiece of their shared apartment, an unassuming artifact that would soon unravel the fabric of their reality. At first, the mirror's reflections were benign, until Valentine's Day arrived. On that fateful morning, Lena noticed that the mirror began to show slight distortions. Instead of their usual smiles, their reflections bore subtle hints of malice, eyes that burned with an eerie intensity, and smiles that curled into unnatural, almost predatory shapes. What was initially dismissed as a trick of the light soon escalated into a full-blown nightmare. Each time they looked into the mirror, the reflections began to behave independently. Jonathan's reflection would wink with an unsettling slyness, while Lena's seemed to bleed slowly along its edges, as if the mirror itself were hungry for her vitality. The couple's once comforting home turned oppressive, the mirror's presence a constant, malignant observer. Shadows lengthened and merged with their reflections, whispering secrets in a language older than time. Desperate to rid themselves of the cursed object, Jonathan and Lena tried to dispose of it, but each attempt only multiplied its horrors. Breaking the mirror in half resulted in the shards recombining overnight, as if the mirror was a living entity bound by dark, unbreakable magic. Soon, the couple began to experience disturbing visions, glimpses of violent altercations, spectral figures clawing at the edges of reality, and a relentless voice urging them to embrace the darkness hidden within their hearts. On Valentine's night, the mirror reached its climax. The reflections stepped out from behind the glass, emerging as hyper-real, grotesque doppelgangers. Their arrival was heralded by a cacophony of shattering glass and anguished cries. The doppelgangers attacked with a ferocity that was both mesmerizing and horrific. Jonathan's double, with eyes like burning coals, engaged in a macabre dance of violence with the real him, while Lena's sinister twin moved silently, its hand leaving a trail of deep crimson along the walls. In the ensuing chaos, the apartment became a battleground of fractured realities. The lovers fought not only for their lives, but for the very essence of their souls. In the end, as dawn broke, only fragments of the mirror remained scattered across the floor, and the couple was left with scars that ran deeper than flesh, a permanent reminder that love, when intertwined with darkness, can mirror back the most terrifying truths.